Italo's Blog Talk Radio.
Italo here, and this is another edition of Italo's Blog Talk Radio. And this morning, Brian Knudsen, Vanya Renee, and Jay Broom from the new show called Disrobed, Why So Close-Minded, came into the show this morning. And here is a interview that we had, and it was a blast. So listen up, guys.
Hello, everybody. We have a lot of people on the line right now, and I'm very excited because, before I say what, anyways, we have Brian Knudsen, who is the producer and director.
Knudsen. Yeah.
Knudsen. I'm sorry, Knudsen.
That's correct.
And he's the producer and the director of Disrobed, a new comedy which is going to be premiering at the Hollywood Fringe Festival, and it's going to be amazing. It's pushing my boundaries this morning, and I'll explain later. But before I do, I also want to introduce two members of the cast, and they are Vanya Skulls. Am I saying it right?
So, I go by Vanya Renee.
Vanya Renee. And Jay Broom is also on the line.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Okay. And so what?
Hello.
Brian, what did you tell us? Why don't you tell us what happens in your show?
Well, I'll try to be brief. This does have a little bit of history at Fringe. I produced my first Fringe show in 2016, and that all came about from a play that a friend of mine from the naturist community handed me called "Love the Body Positive," written by a woman named Jonna Adams, and it basically centers around a couple where a woman invites her fiancé to a nude beach, but he isn't aware that it's a nude beach. And when he discovers by looking around that there are other people that are getting naked, and he finally realizes what's going on, she basically, through the progress of this short one act, tries to persuade him to remove his clothes, and he ultimately does. And when he does, they have a conversation about the human body, and it gets into their own personal history with body image and how they feel about their bodies and what they went through when they were younger over insecurity issues and whatnot. And then they ultimately come to a realization that there's nothing to feel insecure about in terms of the body. So that's kind of a central theme with these shows. It went over really well in 2016, and then we did it again in 2017, and it was a series of original shorts called Naked Shorts, Less is More. And that went pretty well. That went pretty good as well. It was a series of originally written pieces centering around naturism, and we had a good audience for that as well. And then took a break. Last year, I became a judge for the festival, and I saw a lot of shows, a lot more shows than when I was actually producing and acting, and got more deeply involved in the scene, and I had an absolute blast. And then this past Christmas, I had befriended another writer who produced a fantastic play called Nights at the Algonquin Roundtable. His name is Steven Vlasak. And Steven and I became friends after I saw his play. We hung out at the Fringe Mixers, and a great guy, and I've developed some wonderful friendships with a few people, but Steven is one that I've had a closer friendship with in the last couple of years. And we started talking, and I mentioned to him that I was thinking about putting on another Fringe show, and toying around with the idea of adapting and updating a classic naturist play called Barely Proper by Tom Cushing, which has been in the naturist community a long time. It was written back in 1930. So I was handed this play by by a gentleman from the Naturist Association, from the Southern California Naturist Association, who he was actually a member, and he's now the president. And I read it, and it's a very funny play, and it centers around a naturist or nudist family, and the daughter of the family brings home a fairly conservative boyfriend, but she doesn't tell the boyfriend that her family are all nudists. So she ends up withholding the information, and he has to discover they come out and everybody realizes that he realizes that they're all nudists. So, and then all the hilarity and the humor ensues, and there's education there. So Steven took this on, and he updated and adapted it, and he kept some of the British humor, because it's really thick with a lot of British wit, and he Americanized it and updated it, and he did a fantastic job. And when he returned it to me after the update, the light bulb went on, and I thought, wow, we really have a play here. So we decided to move forward and cast it and produce it and direct it, and we're deep in rehearsals right now, and we're just having an absolute blast. And here we are.
So one question for the cast, for either Vanya or Jay. How was the casting for you guys? What was the process like?
That was fun.
Yeah.
Much fun. I mean, well, first of all, when I went in there, I didn't even think, I thought I'd take a chance on this, but I did not think I'd be cast for it. And so I kind of went in there with that and just like, I'm just going to have fun. I'm just going to do whatever. So for the callback, which was was happening that same day, you had to get nude. And I didn't know how I was going to feel about that. I mean, I'm sort of open, but I went right for it. But when I walked in back into the auditorium where the production was, Brian was there, Steven was there, Rolf, some other people.
And boy, were we there.
Yeah, they were all nude. I was hard because I was already naked, and you're worried about, I'm going to be naked in front of these people I don't really know, and they're all nude, and it was so supportive, and I really appreciated that. So not only was it a fun rehearsal, you felt supported, and I just liked it. I knew right away. I said, this is the group I want to be with. So I was happy that I eventually got the part. So no, it was a lot of fun. I slapped Jay's butt,
First week's callback. See. Did that
Was this the first time? Was this the first time you ever were in a nude in a show, in the nude, or has it been?
Never.
Yeah, never.
Never, ever.
Okay.
Never even thought about it. I didn't even think it was allowed on stage. I never thought about that ever. I've been to some parties like that, but nothing ever like this. And Jay can speak to this too. We're both stand-up comics as well. And I think you're always looking for that high on stage. And when I saw the audition, I was like, this is the ultimate high. This is the ultimate daring it all, literally. And I'm going to do it. So, yeah. Never seen anything like this. And it's great. It's a great script. Brian was talking about that. Fabulous script. And it's just so well written that there's no way I wasn't going to do it. Yeah, it's great.
Right.
Yeah, and we required the actors of the callback, of course, to disrobe. And by the way, we did update the title of the play. It was fairly proper, but the actual title of the play is Disrobed. Why so close-minded? With clothes spelled like clothing.
Yeah.
Right.
But we required them to disrobe at the callback because this is ultimately what's going to happen, and they had to go there. And in terms of us being nude, and conducting the auditions, that's also what's ultimately going to happen when they perform, because this particular show is unique at Fringe in that we also require the audience to be nude.
Yeah.
So it's an immersive experience.
Shocker.
Yeah, so that needs to be understood.
Yep.
So we
gotta go
definitely
there
fall
with
in the immersive category. Yeah.
You know what? It's funny because Brian was sending me the information about the show, and I'm like, yeah, and I was just like, yeah, I'll look at it later. And so he says, did you read the description? I'm like, yeah. And then he says, all right, so you're cool with being nude in the audience? And I'm like, no, what? Wait. And then I said, well, I guess I didn't read it, did I?
Same thing happened to me when I applied first. I actually just saw that it, I think the description for the character popped up on Backstage, and it was like Michael Cera energy, and I was like, oh, I can do that. And then I didn't realize that it was a nude play until I was on the way over for the first audition.
Oh my God!
I didn't know that, Jay. That's funny.
Yeah.
Hilarious. And look, he's so fabulous. He's so fabulous in this part. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I have to respect your courage because, knowing that and the way that you invested yourself, you transitioned, quite well. So that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I felt the same way that Vanya did. It's like once you realize that's what's going to happen, it's like, oh, this will be interesting.
Yeah.
Give you a little bit of a rush, add some material. It should be fun.
Yeah, right. Oh,
love the adventurous element of actors. Fearless.
Yeah. Awesome. just so your listeners will picture this, right? I sitting on the chair, and the chair is has a T-shirt on it because I don't want to sit on it in the nude. Yes, guys, I am naked in this show. Woo! Yeah.
The conversion is almost complete.
Almost complete, right? But exactly. I'm with you in spirit.
There you go.
Oh. Well, I am wearing my glasses and I'm wearing my earbuds. But anyways. And wearing cologne as well.
What's that?
And I'm wearing cologne too.
That's great. Yeah, I thought it was really great too. I would talk to some of my friends, and they think I'm a little bit out there, adventurous, and they're like, "Oh, okay, you're doing this nude play. That's really interesting. Okay, so maybe we'll come and see you." I'm like, "No, you got to be adventurous too. You have to be nude." I'm like, "Oh, that changes things." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't get to see me being adventurous only. I'm gonna look out and see you as well." So
yeah, and let me touch on that too, because that's important to understand. People that are listening to this are probably thinking, why? What's the point? Well, there is a message about naturism. A lot of people like to say nudism, but the more holistic word is naturism. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life. These are people who like to be, nude whenever they can, but clothed when necessary. So it's kind of the flip. It's a little bit like living on, from their perspective, they ultimately would like to live on nude planet, except when the temperatures drop to the point where they need clothing. So when we get into the warmer months like we're doing now, naturists are just going to be, emerging from their cocoons and, like butterflies and floating around in this lovely weather without clothing wherever they can. And involving the audience like this in an immersive way, it's like a friend of mine mentioned this. It's a great word. It's an agreement. It's an agreement between the actors and the audience that everyone involved is going to participate fully in this immersive hour to experience naturism together, a community without clothes. And within these shows, there's always one character or two that talks about naturist philosophy. So there's an educational aspect to it as well. And some people have a euphoric experience, sitting in the audience and observing this. People that are insecure, they realize other people are taking the plunge with them. they no longer feel any doubts about their opinions of their own body, and after the show they'll comment, "Wow, I never experienced anything like this, and it was quite amazing." So and then we've also gotten some new members in naturism as well, which is nice. But of course we also like to entertain, and in this particular play it's a comedy, and it's just full of jokes and wit, and it's very funny. But we also don't. We also keep the educational aspect in focus as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, just want to remind people that are going to see, if you're brave enough to get naked and everything, you may also want to bring your clothes bag, because your clothes will be taken off before, and also a towel, because you want to sit on the towel, not on the.
Yeah, and you don't have to remove your clothes yourself. We'll have people there in the lobby that will remove your clothes for you. We'll make it really easy for you.
Are you serious?
just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
You got me scared for a minute.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So you remove your clothes, you put them in a clothes bag, and you bring a towel. That's naturist etiquette, and you place that. You walk into the theater, place that on the seat, and then you sit down on your towel.
Okay. Wow.
What if someone forgets to bring theirs? What do we do if someone forgets to bring? What if someone forgets to bring theirs? What do we do with them? Will there be extras in the back, like some sort of?
Yeah, we actually bring a few extras if that happens, and sometimes it does. Most people are pretty responsible. So.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And absolutely no photography, no cell phones. Everything will be stored in the clothes with the clothes bag.
Yeah, and there'll be monitors in the disrobing areas to look over your stuff and supervise it and just make sure it's safe while the show is going on.
Okay, great. Wow, so many questions.
We've got answers.
I'll reserve them. For later. But before I continue, I want to make sure that people know that this show will be playing at the studio stage, on the main stage, on the studio stage, and it's a great place. Actually, that's where we're going to have the Little Prince as well, and it's going to be a great show. I think. I'm still scared. I don't want to be naked. Anyway,
it's going to be so fabulous, and I think that's what's great. It's a terrific play. It's so well written. It's so funny and fast paced and witty. And we just happen to also get naked. And and all the comedy ensues like sort of around that. But it's just really so good. I think that's what really pushed me over the edge. I'm like, okay, I'm getting nude, but this is a really good script. So I was absolutely, and the actors are just fabulous. I mean, shout out obviously to Trevon and Sierra and Dave and Judge, and obviously Jay is holding it all together, and he's amazing. It's just it's fabulous. Everybody's really
an amazing cast. Yeah,
it all starts with the writing, and we all take our pants off to Steven for his brilliant writing work.
And we just good laugh in rehearsals. We just have so much fun. Oh my God!
Yeah, it is.
So you rehearse in the nude as well, correct?
Yes and no. To get acclimated to each other, we've done it. We've done it once or twice now in rehearsal.
I think it's been like 3 times. I feel
3 times. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So it's been a mix. So a few times in our birthday suits, and then a few times in clothing. Just kidding.
Clothing.
Those pesky clothes, annoying clothes. Yeah. But it's I've had a great time so far directing and just watching everybody evolve and grow in their roles, because it's a really good group, and we're having a great time, and we all get along well, and there's a lot of harmony, and everybody's chiming in with ideas. It's a lot of fun.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out that a lot of that harmony and openness has to do with the fact that we've seen each other nude now. And we all went there and like, okay, let's just take this plunge very early on. Okay, everyone's uncomfortable. Oh, we're slowly getting more comfortable. And, yeah, I mean, right away you get to feel each other's energy and who they are and get harmonious. And, I guess that is the main source of the movement of the philosophy. So, there it is. On full display, if you will.
Well said, Vanya. Yeah, I'm in total agreement.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, my first experience being in the nude or being in a nude beach was in Florida. I forget what beach it was, but yeah, it was actually not bad when I was heading to the water. I think so.
Hallover Beach?
I forget.
Hallover Beach? Yeah.
Something like that, I think it was. Yeah. And then it was fine up until I had to get out of the water.
Oh.
Because heading to the water, I was like, well, this is looking at my ass. Who cares, right? But then coming out of the water, I'm like, oh, shit. Now they have to see my full Monty. And that's embarrassing to me. I'm like, okay, let's just stay in the water a little longer, I guess.
So you stay in the water till the sun sets and the beach is empty, and then you finally walk out completely shriveled.
Right. No, I did get out of the water eventually.
I sort of go into that with that like Ken Jeong philosophy with like, I'm going to give an ego boost to a lot of fellas out there. It's fine.
Oh my God.
So what happens if there's somebody gets excited with the show?
That's interesting.
Well,
that was my first thought.
That is a question that is a question that always comes up. It rarely happens. It's hard to understand, but it's hard to get out of these double entendres on this subject. I know,
Thank you.
But it rarely happens. I mean, in the years that I've been involved, gosh, maybe a few times. I've been to Burning Man. I saw it once. But it's funny. I remember this guy. It was in the morning, and I guess he just had, the morning rise, and he was walking across the playa, and but he was just so casual and matter of fact about it. I just kind of glanced away, and went on my merry way. And it was that was that. But it just doesn't happen because when people are together like this, there's. For those that are comfortable, it's just not an issue for those who practice regularly. And for those that don't, I think part of it is that there is a little bit of anxiety tied into it, that where the mind ultimately doesn't go there. There's, if it's nervous energy, it's connected to being self-conscious. Gee, what are other people going to think? And then there is the excitement of being without clothes for the first time, and that light, wonderful lightness that you feel, but people don't go there. And when I tell them that naturism is about celebrating human sensuality, not sexuality, but human sensuality, they have a hard time wrapping their brains around that, because sensuality is about indulging the senses, but it's not sexualized. It's not lust. And these plays are about simple, non-sexualized nudity. It's about experiencing, the human body in all its glory together. And it's not about sexuality. It doesn't mean that when you participate in naturism, you become a eunuch for the period of time that you're participating. It doesn't mean anything like that. You're not checking your sexuality at the door, but I think a lot of it boils down to behavior. It's if you're behaving in a seductive, sexual way, that's going to make everybody uncomfortable. And there's also zero tolerance in the naturist community when it comes to any kind of lewd, lascivious behavior acting out. You know, it's a fairly small community, but if anybody acts out, everybody else knows from the other clubs, and it probably travels across the country to the East Coast as well. There's just zero tolerance for that kind of acting out in terms of behavior. Mm-hmm. So I like that as well. So everybody that's involved, is for the newbies, they're also being monitored for a while, but everybody that stays and participates and gets involved, everybody's been screened. So it's right. A lovely group.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what is is something so natural, and it should be celebrated. But in my bringing up, I'm Catholic, so I guess that's the guilt in me. Like, oh my God, this is so sinful, and you always see Adam and Eve being naked, and that's taboo, and that's so wrong. But I'm like, yeah, and when I was at the beach, I'm like, after a while, I'm like, I didn't see, I didn't care. I'm just enjoying myself. Right. I just, after a while, you kind of like, okay, the mystery is gone, and now I know what it feels like, and not a big deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's funny though.
Yeah.
There's one thing I want to say, and I actually, I don't mind admitting that it's a mission statement, from the naturist community, and it's about promoting clothing optional recreation, education, and personal growth for all ages. The associations in these clubs provide access to clothing optional environments where the unclothed human body is celebrated, sensuality is accepted, and personal choice is respected. So that sums it up right there in terms of the purpose. And it's also transformative, like I was saying. There are medicinal benefits. It helps people with mental issues, naturism. I've spoken to people that have told me that they're bipolar, and it helps to calm and soothe them and anchor them, in a naturist environment. It's really good for people. It goes without saying with skin conditions, because you're not dealing with fabric to irritate the skin. You're being out in the sun. You're getting lots of vitamin D, and and it also has a calming effect for people as well.
Okay.
So.
I don't know. I feel calm right now.
You do or do not?
But I am. Well, I'm by myself, so yeah.
I get the philosophy. It's you read it and you're acting it out for a lot of the time, and over the past month or so, and I'm like, oh, I get this. I get where we're coming from with this. It's so funny because I was raised in a super conservative household, super religious, and I don't know. I like the idea of kind of like getting out of that and getting on the other side. So it's funny that you mentioned like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and it's a bad thing now that they've noticed that they were naked. And but why? Why is it? I don't know. I've definitely started thinking about that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why was it so
sinful about it? Oh, sorry.
Oh, what was that?
Sorry, go ahead, Jake.
We actually touch up on some slightly religious themes in the show because my character is Catholic as well, and we talk about not to give too much away, but we do talk about how with Adam and Eve that being all shame that comes later, and God made them naked, and God makes us all naked. And I'm not a very religious person myself, but it actually, interestingly enough, I feel like it's kind of a through line.
Mm-hmm.
Again, partially because my character is raised Catholic.
Yeah.
than Catholic.
It's so funny. I love that Jay is playing the conservative character, yet he has a sort of like open, like Burning Man sort of background, even with his family. And
he's a bit of a paradox. He's a bit of a paradox. Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be this open, like, naturist, and I'm from that conservative background. So my parents would be proud. And so, it's fun.
Well, hey.
It's fun.
Yeah, you may not want to invite your parents for this one, do you? Are you going to invite your parents or your family?
Well, Jay is. I know Jay is.
I've
Jay.
got several family members coming. I'm fine if my mom never shows up. That'll work great for both of us.
But no, I've got some cousins coming. My great uncle's probably coming.
Love it.
Yeah, again, me and my whole family go to Burning Man like almost every year, so we've seen each other naked.
Okay.
When you say every year, how long have you been doing this as a group?
Since I was
getaway?
14. So again, I've missed a couple years, but about 8.
Love it.
It's funny how this touches on Burning Man, because that was my first communal experience in social nudity. Was at Burning Man. I hung out at a nudist camp my last day, and they said, "Is this your first time experiencing this in a social environment?" And I said, "Yeah, I've always loved it, skinny dip, but I've done that privately." And then when I grew up at athletic clubs where, you had men's locker rooms, so with an indoor jacuzzi, but in terms of an open mixed gender environment, so they said, "Well, we need to take you on a walk to Central Camp. We're all going to take a walk over there, and we'd like you to join us." And we're going to do that in the nude. So I decided to go for it, and it was just glorious. There's that lightness that you feel that's just undeniable. You just kind of let go, and then people are, we walked up to this. It was like an ice cream cart that was just outside of Central Camp, and they served us ice cream, and everybody was just very casual and kind of nonchalant, while they were giving us our ice cream cones. And I thought, wow, you can actually just enjoy everything around you in a normal setting if you're around other people that are, comfortable with it as well and open-minded. I mean, that's when it's best, is when you're in an environment where everybody's on the same page. It's really just a beautiful experience.
Sounds
that
great.
Kind of community. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds great. Sounds judgment-free, which is fun, because we don't experience a lot of that lately. Everyone on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, everyone needs to pass judgment on something, and even like, going back to sort of that conservative upbringing, and you get into these places and, how am I better than that person? How am I better than this person? And you're saying that's not something that you're experiencing there. Everyone's in the nude and together and harmonious. It's got to be a great feeling, for sure.
Yeah, it eliminates status. Clothing is a form of status, and I mean, I kind of, I have a term where it'll ruffle some people's feathers for obvious reasons, but I kind of call it a sort of nude socialism.
For sure.
Where it puts everybody on the same playing field, and it's the equalizer, in the right way. And I don't connect that to money. I mean, a lot of people will say, Burning Man is the rich white person's playground, but when you get involved in naturism, one of the things is when you're enjoying interacting with other people without their clothing, everybody's just in the skin that they were born with, so you don't have these these impressions about who this person is or where they're from based on the clothes that they're wearing, and that's a really nice feeling. It's an equalizer, and we just get in touch with each other through our common humanity, and it's quite beautiful.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right. Wow. Yeah, it's quite liberating actually to think about this topic.
Right.
And makes you wonder why was I so close-minded before? You know,
Bump.
Yeah.
Right? We're all converting now. All the listeners.
So maybe next time we'll do this live in the streets or something. No, kidding. You'll probably get arrested. No.
Well, I think.
But anyway, to
state,
remind people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Isn't Vermont one of those East Coast states where public nudity is okay as long as you're behaving properly? I think. Yeah. I thought I read that somewhere. Sure. That was one of those states on the East Coast. But
I believe
that wouldn't surprise me. Now I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, Ben and Jerry hanging out over there with their dicks out. I buy it.
Oh my God. Public nudity.
Yeah, maybe they were participants in some of the legislative, issues of the state, and they got things changed and more relaxed. I don't know.
Public nudity is legal in Vermont.
Yeah,
public nudity is legal in Vermont, but public disrobing is not. So that's interesting.
That's right, because that's considered more seductive or arousing or more sexualized. But I guess if you walk out into public from your home or wherever and you're nude, I guess that's okay. It's an interesting distinction.
Interesting.
Or you can just go to West Hollywood on Halloween, and you'll pretty much get pretty close to nudity.
Are people nude?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right.
Pretty close. As
long as you're painting your parts, I think that's okay. Yeah. That's accepted as body paint,
really?
at least. Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
Well, I also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
I guess I wanted to emphasize again one of the one of the biggest reasons why all this is happening for Fringe and putting up these shows in June is, once again, I want to go back to Steven Vlasak. I mean, he took this, he adapted it, rewrote it. He spent several weeks it's a short play. It's only 50 minutes. So it's, basically we're only asking the audience to immerse themselves for 1 hour. So it's, it's just some laughs, enjoy yourselves, and then you can get back to the regular world, or not, depending on how you experience it. But Steven just did a fabulous job with updating this. When I first read it, I was just blown away with how he took these characters and he changed things around a little bit and condensed things because but he just did a great job, and I'm just thrilled and in deep gratitude for him taking this on. And his response was, when I asked him, why did you, what motivated you to do this? And he goes, well, I like to challenge myself and to face my fears. And this particular subject scares the hell out of me. So I just had to go for it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, Steve's a great guy. I haven't seen his the last year's show, but I'm looking forward to seeing this one. But I'm gonna also have my reservations. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll probably have to have a shot or two before I go see this.
Perfectly fine. Totally understood. Nobody will judge you if you have a little alcohol in your breath, as long as you don't walk in, stumbling around. That's totally fine.
No, of course not.
Maybe we should serve shots at the top of the show. Someone walk around with those yellow shots or something like that.
There you go.
Like, everyone calm down. We'll start the show.
Actually, that's actually not a bad idea because that does help the people calm them down a little bit and puts them into the mood. And it's, definitely something to be tossed around, but
warms them
likely, I think in the theater, it's the policy, of course, not to, because they don't have, I don't think there's going to be serving concessions there, and you have to have
they're not? Okay.
A liquor license. I don't think so. It might be up to the owner on that. No?
Yeah, you have to talk to Greg and Jen about that. But I think
Yeah.
they said they don't want to do it because of the amount of preparation before and after. To get into theater, get out of the theater. There's going to be so much going on, and the Fringe Festival, you know how crazy it is. So I don't think there will be enough time for people to there will be enough time for them to get in and see the gallery or whatever that's called,
Right.
the lounge. But yeah, they won't be able to serve any concessions, but they usually did. Actually, they had it once. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm thinking, like, even the little Jello shot as they walk in. Here, hand you their clothes, and then I'll hand you this Jello shot and sit down.
This is the barter arrangement, right?
Exactly. Thank you for your clothes. Yeah. Here's a drink. Go sit down.
Yeah. Well, Italo, how many years of experience do you have at the Fringe Festival? I'm curious.
Just actually last year was my first year, so this is my second time around.
Right.
So it's my second year. I'm very excited. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I saw like 30 shows last year.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, the sheer size of this festival is mind-boggling. I go back a few years, but when I went to my first mixers. And then when I participated in the opening night party, I was like, wow. I mean, it's huge. It's close to 400 productions. It's grown from 10 years ago. It's also the 10-year anniversary of Fringe this year, which is really cool, celebrating, a decade now in Hollywood. And it's hailed as one of the best, if not the best, Fringe festival in the United States. I mean, the people who run this just do a fantastic job. It's just constantly growing, so... Yeah. I mean, our theater alone is hosting 20 shows where we're performing.
That's amazing.
So,
That's amazing. I
madness.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
Madness.
Yeah. Good madness.
In a great way,
madness.
yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good madness. So it's so great. I always loved supporting Fringe in the past and supporting my friends during their shows. A lot of one-man shows, one-woman shows. And now it's just so great to be a part of it. This is my first time doing Fringe Fest, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Particularly for the parties.
Yeah, and I encourage everyone to get out and try to see some other shows if you have time in your schedule. I mean, we're all busy, but there's just a lot of thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
A lot of other fascinating fringy stuff as well. It's just I just love all the imagination of all these people, and there's just a lot of fearless ideas that are put on paper and presented on stage, and it's so colorful.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. That was the interview. It was really, really fun. I want to thank once again Brian, Vanya, and Jay for calling in today. If you'd like to have more information on the show, you may want to visit their page on Facebook. It's facebook.com/lovethebodypositive. And I love this idea. The show sounds hilarious. So if you want to have more information, please click on the link below. If you have a link below, if not, go to Hollywood Fringe, hollywoodfringe.org, and this show will be, it's already on sale now. The first preview will be on June 9th, so that's the first chance to see the show. But there's going to be 5 different shows. It's going to be at Studio Stage, so check them out. They want to be amazing, and get ready to take your clothes off. And also make sure you like and you follow my Facebook page, where I post all the latest episodes. Now I'm going to be posting this on YouTube. So sometimes it'll be YouTube, sometimes it'll be Black Talk Radio. It may change, so you always want to be updated by clicking and liking the Facebook page, Italo's Black Talk Radio. And with that, I'll talk to you next time.
We are go for liftoff in T minus 30.
Hit the record button.